Everybody isn't hurting financially. Everyone is not struggling for money. So where are the videos for the rich? Where are the videos for those who are wealthy? Those who have a lot of material possessions? It's easy to make videos for those who are going through financially in hard times. But where's the word to the rich and the wealthy and those who have a lot? This video today is for those who have material possessions and money is not your problem, and anyone who desires riches and possessions and one day wants to be rich. This video is for you. What I want to say is riches without God is pointless. I say that again. Having all the wealth and the riches and the money your heart can desire without God is pointless. I want to show you a passage of scripture in Luke chapter 12, verse 13, that speaks to this point. The title of this section is The Parable of the Rich Fool. Did you know that you could be rich and have so many things and be so wise, but yet still be a fool? Here's what it says in verse 13. It says, Then someone called from the crowd, Teacher, please tell my brother to divide our father's estate with me. Then Jesus replied, Friend, who made me a judge over you to decide such things as that? Then he said, Beware, guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own. Then he told them a story. A rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, What should I do? I don't have room for all my crops. Then he said, I know. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I will have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods. And I'll sit back and say to myself, My friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, You fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for? Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God. I'll repeat that again. Riches and wealth without God is pointless. So let's unpack that a little bit. One of the things that stood out to me is the scripture says, life is not measured by how much you own. Now, this is interesting because I know it's easy to measure your life by how much you have acquired, things that you have, how much is in our bank account, all the material possessions. We actually label ourselves and call ourselves certain things just because of what we have. But this scripture is telling us that life is not measured that way. And although we might have so many things, it doesn't determine who we are. It doesn't even determine whether our wealth and our riches, we call it wealth and riches, but really it's in some areas it can still be poor and poverty. That we do not measure a life by what it is that we own. So this is interesting because then it caused me to wonder, but if my life is not measured by how much I own, then what is my life measured by? Because many times we use this as a ruler to determine whether I am successful, whether I have arrived. And this scripture is telling us that it doesn't have anything to do with how much you own. And that's crazy for someone who's rich to hear, because most of what we do in life was to acquire the wealth and the riches. That's what we work so hard for. So how does the scripture come around and tell us that there's more to life than what it is that we own? Another thing that stands out in this passage of scripture is that he says a, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth but not have a rich relationship with God. Now that's powerful, and we're going to come back to that. But before I go there, I want to say this. The verse also says, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy, eat, drink, and be merry. And when I read that, I thought about how it is like when we get comfortable. So we get comfortable and we like, I got enough to last me for years. I got enough to get me through any hard time. I got enough to live out my life and ride it out well. I got enough for me, my kids, and more and more and more. I have enough. So all I have to do now is just take it easy. All I have to do now is just eat myself away, have fun, drink, be merry. Basically, just live a chill life is what we think, because we've acquired so many things. And he's saying that this is foolishness to think that just because you have acquired so many things and financial wealth and prosperity and things of that nature, that it's okay for you to just chill now and do nothing and just ride out life, not even realizing that there's more to life than whatever it is that you have acquired through the year. There's more living that is needed out of your life, even though you have financial riches and gain. That actually there is more that God desires out of your life than just acquiring things. So yes, you people go on to drink, like it says, and be merry and be happy and have fun and enjoy the riches of your labor, but not even realizing that naturally you might be soaring, but spiritually you're in poverty. You know, it's interesting because this scripture hits on something that is very, very, very near and dear to my heart, because I have been following what's been going on in the news. And I don't know about you, but I've seen so many passings of celebrities just in the year 2022 alone. And for me, it hits my heart, because I don't know them. But it's like, why is this happening? And so this passage of scripture also says it like this. It says, but God said to this person who thought they had everything and they were good and they could just rest and they can relax, he said to him, but you fool, you will die this very night. And then he goes on and says, then who will get what you worked for? Who will get everything you worked so hard for? What he's trying to say is that yet one day you won't be here anymore. And your wealth and your riches will need to be transitioned down to someone. Sometimes they go away. I've seen homes abandoned that was once occupied with the finer things. I've seen that some people don't have anyone to even transfer their wealth to. What he is saying is that it got to be more to life just living to acquire things, that one day when you leave here you can't even take them with you. So you worked and you toiled, it's so hard for these things, and you realize that when it's your time to go, you can't even take them with you. Now some of us have loved ones that we can pass it on to, but then there are some people that there's no one that they can pass on their riches. What he's saying is that we need to think about this, to recognize that life is more than gaining material things. So the last thing I want to say about this scripture that stood out to me is the part that I said. He said a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth but not have a rich relationship with God. Not have a rich relationship with God. And so this is interesting. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a relationship with God? I'm not quite sure I understand it, somebody might say. How can I have a relationship with God? And I want to make sure I understand what you mean. I'll give you an example. Like, for example, if someone comes up and says, hey, do you believe that this particular celebrity exists? You do you believe, and they give you a name, that a celebrity exists? Now you might say yes to that question, especially if you might have seen that person on life on TV, or you've read about them or what have you. And so you could probably give a confident yes to the fact that the celebrity exists. But if somebody asks you, do you know that celebrity? Do you have a personal relationship with that celebrity? That's when things get a little funny, where you start to say, let me think about this. I need to say no to this. Why? Because one, I may have never even met this person, right? Two, I don't even talk with this person. And three, I definitely have never spent time with this person. So when we think about the fact that he's saying that it's foolish for you to actually store up this wealth and store up these riches, it's foolish to become rich and not have a rich relationship with God. So he's dealing with rich and rich, right? So foolish to become rich and not to have a rich relationship with God. And in that example I just shared, is I might know that he exists. Like I might know that that celebrity exists. I might know that God exists. But however, do you have a personal relationship? If I can't say of that celebrity that I know them, that I spend time with them, and that we talk to each other or what have you, then I can't say I have a personal relationship with him. And that's how it is with God. So yeah, I might know that God exists, but the question is, have you ever met him? Right? Do you spend time with him? Do you talk to him? Because if not, how can you have a relationship with someone that you don't spend time with, someone that you don't talk to? It's someone that you don't just even be in their midst. So it's something to think about. And this scripture is saying that it's foolish to do that. And so when you think about a relationship with God, I want to leave you with 5 relationship aspects when it comes to God. Number 1, a relationship with God is a two-way relationship. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with 2 people, but however, only one person is active in that relationship. It's a two-way street. It's not God just to us, it's also us to God. So when it comes to the Lord, it is a two-way relationship. Number 2, it's also a two-way conversation. What do I mean by that? I know if I'm in a relationship with someone and they're the only one talking, I'm going to pretty much get tired of that. It's like this. Whenever you might say, I'm a person that prays to God. I pray every day. I pray all the time, or what have you. Well, guess what? It's a two-way conversation. If you always speaking to God, he wants to speak to you too. It goes both ways. But if I get up and say what my piece, but then I walk away and don't allow him to say his piece, this is not a two-way conversation. So part of having a relationship with God is having a two-way conversation. I can't just always be praying to him and never sitting and waiting to hear him talk to me. It goes 2 ways, just like any other relationship that exists, right? All right, number 3, it's two-way requests. Now, this is a big one because we have a lot of requests of God and we want God to show up. So I want to ask God for things. I want to pray for situations in my life and I want God to move. So I have requests of God, but it's 2 ways. So he has requests of us. What about the request that God has of you? What about the request that he has of me? Right? Is it possible that I could just only be requesting things from God, but I never allow him to request things from me? And I want God to obey my request, but I don't want to even obey the request that he asked out of me and out of my life. It's 2 ways. It's 2 ways. We can't have a selfish relationship here. And number 4, it's two-way presence. What do I mean? Meaning I want the Lord to be present with me whenever I need him. I need his presence. Like if I'm going through a situation or my family's going through a situation or something crazy in the world and I want to pray, I want him to be present when I talk to him. But guess what? It's two ways. When I come to, I got to go to him and I need to be present with him. How many times do we actually want to get from the Lord and we want his presence, but he never gets our presence. When we're sitting there, our mind is focused on other things. We're distracted. Our cell phone, our social media, our friendships, everything takes precedence before God. That's not fair. We have to be present as well. Two ways. It goes both ways. And the last thing is number 5, two-way of giving of time. It goes both ways as it relates to time. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people and they say that they don't have time for God. But I know that when I want to be bothered with God, I expect him to make time and room for me. It's two ways. Sometimes I have to clear things off my schedule and actually make time for God, right? Because when I come into his presence, I want him to make time for me. And that's not fair for it to be one-sided, that my life is so busy with everything I'm doing and I think is important, but I don't have no time for God, no time for him at all, right? Sometimes you have to clear and reorchestrate your day and your schedule to actually have time with God. And the more and more productive we have is not based on how many things we accomplish in a day. It is based on how many times we've actually engaged and interacted with the Lord in a day. Then maybe that is productivity. Productivity, not just all these different things. This morning, this was something that was on my mind. I don't even know why he told me to share it, but I just want to just reiterate the scripture to you that yes, material. Most of us desire nice things in life. Who wouldn't? But as we see in this passage of scripture, that it doesn't matter. All the things we have in this world and we acquire is really pointless without a rich relationship with God. The scripture says, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God. So while we are pressing our way and working so hard to become rich, let us not forget to press our way and work really hard and do what we need to do to have a rich relationship with God. I want to encourage you today. I love all of the people who are doing well in life, those who are struggling, no matter who you are. I am rooting for you, and I hope that not only as you excel in this earthly world, but that you will also excel in your relationship with God, because all the other stuff that we will see in the end, like that scripture says, when it's all said and done and you are no longer here, the only thing that will matter is what you did with your relationship with God. So today I encourage you to spend time with him, get to know him, talk with him, and let him talk to you. Take care, be encouraged. I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.